right, so yesterday, y'all, we did quadratic factoring. And so those are with an exponent of 2. So what I left blank on that paper is the sum of cubes and the difference of cubes. And so a cube would be like 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. Okay? So here's the formula. And this is why I left it, because literally this is a plug and chug. Like there's no thought to this at all. If you're thinking about it, you're making it too hard. So a perfect cube is going to be written as x to the third plus y to the third. That's the sum. The difference is going to be written x to the third minus y to the third. And so in this case, I need an x and a y. I need an x and a y. So what number is cubed? This is h, right? What number is cubed? 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. So this is 5. Over here, 8f cubed. Clearly the f is cubed, but what number is cubed? 2. So we get 2f. And the 27, that's 3. So here's the formula. We're going to do there's the formula. So once we identify the x and y, we are literally just putting it in the formula. So x plus y is going to be h plus 5. Next it says square your x. Well, my x is h this time, so I'm going to square the h squared. Then I'm going to put a minus sign, and it says take x times y. Well, my x times y is h times 5. Can I write it 5 times h? So I'm going to do 5h. And then plus y squared, my y is 5, so plus 25. Bam. Answer. Done. On the next one, x plus y, that's going to be 2f plus 3. So here's the only place where I see some mistakes. So I want x squared. My x squared this time is 2f. So when I square that, 2 times 2 is going to be 4f squared. And then a minus x times y, so I'm going to get 6f. And then y squared is 9. So when there's a subtraction sign between, it's going to be almost the same, except I'm going to do x minus y times x squared plus xy plus y squared. So in this case, I need my x and my y. So x is x. So the number raised to the third is 343, and that's 7. So now just fill in the formula. X minus y is going to be x minus 7. X squared plus x times y is going to be 7x plus y squared is going to give me 49. So lastly, my x and my y. So x, what do you think? What number raised to the third is going to give me 125? 5. And then I have 8b to the third. So that's going to be 2b. So now I'm just going to fill in my formula. I'm going to take 5 minus 2b. X squared is going to be 25 plus x times y is going to be 10b, and then plus 2b squared is going to be 4b squared. Any questions about that? That's pretty easy, right? Okay, let's do the other notes. Okay, I'll take that in a minute. Okay. So the reason we factored yesterday is that's how we find our x-intercepts, right? Factoring leads to where the ground crosses the x-axis. So intercepts are a point where the graph intersects the x or the y-axis. An x-intercept occurs where y equals 0, and a y-intercept occurs where x is 0. A function can have anywhere from 0 on up x-intercepts, but you only get one y-intercept, just one. You don't get any more than one. So if we look at these graphs, also y'all, x-intercepts, we write them as ordered pairs, right? They're ordered pairs. X-intercepts are ordered pairs. Because we're going to write zeros differently. But to get credit for an x-intercept, you have to write it as an ordered pair. All right, so if I look at the first example, I want the x-intercepts. Where does that cross the x-axis? It doesn't, so this is none. Y-intercept, where does it cross the y-axis? Is it 5? I get 5. And we write it as an ordered pair, 0, 5. Okay, so this is a quadratic, right? It graphs a parabola. This one is the absolute value. I mean, not absolute value, square root, and it's been reflected. So the x-intercept, it crosses here. Is it 4? So we write that 4, 0, correct? The x is first. And the y-intercept is 0, 2. How many x-intercepts do you see here? So you have to list all 4. And then the y-intercept, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, is it 6? I get 0, 6, I think. Okay. Who knows what kind of graph that is? Anybody? Anybody? Fine, maybe some positivities. Is it a straight line? Nope. Is it quadratic? Quadratic is the parabola, that's number 1. Is it an absolute value? Does it make a b? No. Is it a square root? That's number 2. No. Is it a cubic? Cubic is the one that looks like the S? No. Is it an exponential? The one that goes straight up? No. There's only one left. It's the rational, right? The rational is the one that looks like it gets blown apart. And it looks like it gets blown apart because there's asymptotes on the x and the y axis. So if there's asymptotes on the x and the y axis, do I have an x-intercept or a y-intercept? I don't have either. Okay. So zeros are the points at which the function intersects the x-axis. So we're doing two things today. We're going to find the y-intercept and the x-intercept. To find zeros, we're going to set y equal to 0 and solve for x. And most of the time we do that by factoring with a quadratic, right? And if it's an equation, we just solve the equation. To find the y-intercept, we're going to take f as 0. We're going to put 0 in for the x. And we like that the best because it's the easiest. So I need to find the x and the y-intercept. So let's find the y-intercept first because that it really is the easiest. So I'm going to take f of 0. I'm going to find f of 0. So that means wherever I see an x, I'm going to put a 0. So I'm going to have a negative. So y'all, first of all, before I go on, what do these two little lines mean? Absolute value. And what does the absolute value do? What do those symbols do? Whatever's inside, it turns it positive, right? So inside here, I have 0 minus 5, which is negative 5. The absolute value turns it positive. So I have negative 5 plus 3. And negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. So my y-intercept is 0, 2. And we write it as an ordered pair. Or 0, negative 2. Sorry, guys. So now to find the x-intercepts, I have to set this equal to 0. And to solve an absolute value equation, I have to isolate the absolute value. So I'm going to subtract the 3, divide by the negative 1, and then we get two equations. We get the positive equation and the negative equation. So I'm going to get 3 equals x minus 5. And when I add the 5, I get x equals 8 for that one. So for this one, I get x equals 8. For the negative one, if I divide by negative 1, I get negative 3. If I add the 5, I get x is 2. So I get 8 and 2. And so these are zeros. It asks me to find the zeros. And zeros we write different than x-intercepts. So the zeros, we're going to write x equals the 2 and 8. Because y'all, what does it mean if I wrote this? What does that mean? If I wrote it like this? It's a point, right? I think this is x and this is y. Okay, any questions? Y'all, I know absolute value is a long time. There's some cheat sheets on the back of the room. I just taught my other 2 people that how to solve absolute values. If you're having a hard time, it's on the back. Okay. All right. How do I find the zeros here? What kind of equation do I have? It's a quadratic, so how do I find the x-intercepts on a quadratic? What did we do yesterday? Factor. So we're going to factor. We'll set 0 equal to here. So I get -8 and 1. What do the first two have in common? 2 and x. And the second one, what do they have in common? Just a 1. So once you're factored, how do I find the zeros now? We just literally set them equal to 0. Set this equal to 0 and this equal to 0. So I'm going to get x minus 4 and 2x plus 1. So I get a 4 here. When I subtract the 1, I get -1/2. So my zeros are -1/2 and 4. The y-intercept, we do f of 0. So if you look at the original equation, friends, if I put a 0 here and a 0 here, what happens? These cancel out. What does it leave me with? -4. I get 0, -4. Okay, first of all, number 9, what do I need to remember? What's here? The 4, so at the end, what am I checking? To see if it's the difference of squares. So when I do this, my a times c is 4 and -5. So what are my factors? -4, -1, right? So how do I split apart the x to the 4th? I just leave it. So how many of you want to factor by grouping here? Do we have to factor by grouping here? Do I have a leading coefficient? I don't. So can I write this? Can I do that? Again, there's no leading coefficient. So now I'm going to set this equal to 0 and this equal to 0. And these are perfect squares. So now, how do I find the y-intercept? I'm going to put a 0 in, and what do I get for an answer? So I get 0, 4. Okay, number 10. Does anybody notice something before I start? What do I need to do? I do. And how do I know that? All of them have an x, so I know there's a greatest common factor. So I'm going to divide by x. Okay, so how many of you got all three of the answers? So which one did you miss? The 0, right? You have to set this equal to 0, this equal to 0, this equal to 0. Question. Okay, so how do I find the y-intercept? F is 0. 0 minus 0 minus 0. What does that give me? 0. So I get 0, 0. Okay, y'all. So these were all in standard form when I found the y-intercept. Let me ask you a question. What if it was written like this? And I wanted the y-intercept. What if it's written like this and I want the y-intercept? So if I do f is 0, what's 0 plus 1? 1. And what's 0 minus 2? It's negative 2. So they're written side by side. Do I add, subtract, multiply, divide? Multiply. So my f is 0 is negative 2, which is 0, negative 2. Okay? So sometimes they're in standard form and sometimes they're in factored form. Okay, just one more thing I want to point out before I am done is this. If I go back to the top, what is the highest exponent? What's the highest exponent here? 2. How many answers did I get? 2. What's the highest exponent here? How many answers did I get? What's the highest exponent? How many answers? 3. Okay, not all the time is that perfect. Not all the time is that perfect because sometimes we get repeating answers.